If that's okay with everyone. Welcome to Teachers Teaching Teachers. We have 3 students, if I count correctly, and Peter Haun here from Michigan, and they will introduce themselves and talk about some AI work that they've been doing at CASA, and they will explain what is the CASA. Yeah, I'll say it that way. You'll explain your school as well. All of that needs to be explained. So welcome everybody. Very excited to hear from sort of teachers and students' perspectives about some AI work that you've been doing. Bonnie Brees Bentham, welcome. Find a chair. And Bonnie, introduce yourself. You'll be the first one. Let's go around and do quick introductions.
Hi, everybody. I'm Bonnie Brees Bentham. I teach students English language arts in Philadelphia, 11th grade and 12th grade. And I'm always here on Teachers Teaching Teachers on Wednesday nights.
I'm glad you are. I'm Paul Allison. We'll go counterclockwise. I'm Paul Allison, and here I set this room up for y'all. I'm really excited about meeting you. I'm in New York City. My son is getting married, so we will not be here next week. I don't know if somebody else wants to step in, but I will be in Rome where he's getting married. So very excited about that. Yes, there we go. Anyway, that's my quick announcement. Hi, Christina and Jack. You want to introduce yourselves? There you go.
Yeah, sorry. Oh, that's exciting. I'm Christina in Philadelphia. I work for the National Writing Project, and I spent half the day outside today at Blankenburg Elementary, where I saw a puppet parade in the pouring rain. It was awesome.
Did they have umbrellas?
Yeah. It was drizzling when they started. It really started pouring.
They're cardboard puppets just to make it all the more thrilling.
No. There's a play at the Public that I went to recently called Goddess, and there's a major plot in it where the mother is a very ominous, and it's a wonderful puppet.
Cool.
Yeah. Jack.
Hey everyone, Jack Marmerstein here in Philadelphia. I tag along with Chris.
Paul, maybe I should go first.
Do you want to go next? Yeah, okay. You can introduce your students. Great.
Yeah, and then the kids. So my name is Peter Haun. I teach 3 hours of the day at a school called Oak Park High School, which is a suburb of Detroit, a very urban suburb of Detroit. In the last 2 hours of the day, I teach at a consortium school called the Center for Advanced Studies in the Arts, CASA for short, which is a consortium school of 7 sending districts. So I teach AP Lang and I teach AP Lit there. And my 3 students are from that center, the CASA. So they can tell you about them and their schools when they introduce themselves. So, and Andrea offered me this opportunity to do this work. And one of the books we read in AP Lang is Outliers. And I always tell the kids, I'll rarely say no to something that I think is a good opportunity. So when Andrea asked about this, I said to the kids, I think it's a win-win. AI is not going away. I don't know a lot about it. You don't know a lot about it. Why wouldn't we do this? So I'll let Deniala introduce herself.
Okay. Hi, my name is Nyla. I'm from Michigan. I go to Madison, and that's basically it.
Okay. Cool. Deniala, give us some sense of how you're feeling about writing and AI and stuff with this. Just coming into it, just your feelings.
I don't like AI. Oh, excuse me. I don't like AI. I don't know why. Just maybe because people use it so much to prism and all that, and I just don't. I barely use it, so I think this was a good opportunity to just try it out and do all those other things.
Great start. Autumn. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Autumn. I also attend Madison High School, which is located in Madison High School. In Madison Heights. And at the Center of Advanced Studies in the Arts, I take AP Lang and AP Psychology currently. And I aspire to become a lawyer in the future for my career. And with AI, at first, I don't like the use of AI because I don't like the harm that it brings to the environment and the way that people rely too much on it. And I feel like with this project, I feel like it's a great way to introduce AI into educational facilities without it becoming a harmful thing overall. So I feel like it can be great for people who don't understand AI and will use it for harmful things and to stop that behavior early on.
Cool. Thanks, Autumn. Yeah, Colton, you're next. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Colton. I also go to Madison High School. At CASA, I take AP Lang and an advanced biology course. I really like AI, specifically writing partners. I feel like there's a lot of uses for it beyond like what people are using for to like cheat and stuff. I think this really, I just really like writing by AI.
Cool.
Can
Great
I ask
introduction.
what
Thanks.
grade
Yeah.
everybody is in? What grade are you young people in?
We're all in
We're
11th.
in 11th grade.
And how,
Okay.
wait, so is CASA online or is it physical?
No, it's an in-person class. It's like a center where you can take AP classes or advanced language classes or other advanced classes that you can't get at regular schools in the curriculum.
So how much time do you spend at Madison and how much time do you spend at CASA?
We each spend 4 hours at Madison and then the other 2 hours at CASA, totaling 6 hours throughout the day.
Cool.
How do you get
Yes.
from one location to the other?
They bus us. A lot of kids can drive themselves, but our school provides us with a bus.
Let's quickly go around just so you know who else is in the room.
Yeah,
Yes, Peter,
please.
go ahead.
No, I'll say a few more things about CASA if you want to know more, but I'd love to hear.
Go ahead. You can say more now.
So I hope nobody takes offense. CASA came, I think, out of like the 60s and the hippies, and they most of the school districts are very small sending districts. And so they decided to pool their resources much like a tech center would. My home school of Oak Park High School definitely would not have enough kids for an AP chemistry class. So sending a couple kids from Oak Park, sending a couple kids from Ferndale, from Madison made it doable, if that makes sense. So we offer a lot of AP classes, but then there's some really interesting high-level art classes that they also offer that allow the kids to express themselves maybe in a way that they don't at their home schools. So, and CASA is 3 hours a day, but most kids only take 2. And every school district that sends a bus. Drops the kids off, picks them back up. That's part of the agreement because not every kid, especially some of my kids from Oak Park or some of the lower socioeconomic schools, have the means to get their own way there. So,
Quick around then, Debbie. Introduction.
I guess if it's quick, I'll just say I'm a school librarian teaching school librarians.
You can say something more. Okay. Welcome. You'll jump in when you. Hi, Chris.
Hello, my name is Chris Sloan. I teach media production and photography and AP Lang at a school called Judge Memorial in Salt Lake City, Utah.
Hi everyone. My name is David Cole. I'm based in California. I was a former writing teacher for 15 years. Then I went into technology and have worked with writing project people off and on over the years. And I'm following Paul in his investigation with AI. So I'm glad to be here.
And you're in a very beautiful place right now, yes?
I am. I'm up in what's called Sea Ranch, if anyone knows it. It's up on the northern coast. Had an anniversary, 30 years married. Here we are.
Congratulations. Yes. Okay, cool. Andrea, introduce yourself and then tell us what writing
our futures. What is this whole thing? So my name is Andrea. I work for Oakland Schools, which is the county that serves Casa, Oak Park, Madison, Ferndale, all these school districts that you've heard about. We have about 208,000 students in our county that I provide services to their schools for and support their teachers. And through some funding that we cobbled together, it was basically like I wandered around and asked people how much money was in their pockets until I got this crazy thing funded. And I just wanted to see what would happen if we tried to investigate how we might use AI ethically in English classes, because that seemed to be ground zero of the tensions around AI, especially as some of the students mentioned. I love that we have a range of opinions about AI here. And Peter agreed to be part of this crazy pilot. It was most of our group did not know much about AI and also didn't know much about project-based learning. So this was kind of a twofer. I put up a kind of half-baked draft of a project-based learning unit, and then we worked as a community to figure out how to implement it. And we had Paul and David supporting us with writing partners. And also Peter's students came to another event that we had. Part of our funding came from my STEM network in Michigan, which focuses on project, place, and problem-based learning as part of their STEM strategy. And I just wanted to get these English kids there to the STEM thing. So Peter and his students, I think all three of you there? Who did not come? Just Colton. Colton was there.
I didn't go.
You didn't go, but you guys were represented.
Yeah.
And they actually, the team that went to that showcase won an award that night. So we were really excited about it. So that's the project. We just wrapped it up, and we had 10 teachers start the project. I think we ended up with 7 that finished the project, which is kind of remarkable this time of year, including a self-contained special education classroom, an online school, Peter's kids. And so we just had this really nice range of different types and contexts making it work. So it was a real labor of love and a lot of teamwork, and we pulled it off. So that's what we're talking about.
I feel like we could spend the rest of the show, and we should do one where we invite you, we invite you and other people who are in the district, whatever, however you want to do it. And so, but give us some sense of what AI is feeling like from a district perspective.
Oh, from my perspective?
Yeah.
So in my county, we have 28 local school districts, and in Michigan, we very much value local control to the point where our Department of Ed has issued no guidance on AI usage. So everything is done at the hyper local level. And so from my perspective, trying to coordinate work around AI, one of the big values we had was centering humans and centering student voice. And so we've been really, part of this project was to make sure that we had an avenue for students to make their voices heard to the stakeholders who were crafting guidance around AI, and so that the kids had a say in it. And so that was part of what this was meant to do, that part of their public product in the unit was to engage with those stakeholders in their district and let them know, hey, this is what we think about AI, and here's the guardrails we think should be in place, and here's our concerns about the environment, and here's our concerns about plagiarism, and also here's what we think might be possible. Here's what we think it could afford us. And so the kids were really naming that. And so we got all the teachers, students presented or made public their opinions in some way. So that was pretty fun.
Cool, thanks for that. And like I said, we could go further on that.
Yeah.
When David, Andrea, and I get together, we just can just keep talking. We got to control ourselves a little bit. But anyway, yeah. So Peter, back to you and your students, and let's. You put together a slideshow. Should we go through it? Does that make sense? Or how do you want to do this?
Oh, sure. I mean, hold on. Let me see if I can figure out how to do this.
Okay. And Peter did 2 projects. I mean, I guess you're still in the middle of the college admissions essay, right? But
Well, so
yeah, go ahead.
when I agreed to do this, I had no idea what I was doing, honestly. And Chris, maybe you should plug your ears. The last book of the year that I teach is Freakonomics, and what I said to my kids, because I really put it in front of them, I said, "Listen, we have this book. I love the book for the content, but I don't know that it's building many more skills before test time." And so what I thought was we could play around with our essay writings, particularly the FRQ one, which is a synthesis essay where the kids are given 6 sources and they have to write an argument using 3 of them. And as I always say to all of my kids, I know you can write a thesis. I know you can provide some evidence. It's your commentary that will always, always be the hardest thing. It's you explaining how that evidence supports your thesis, connects to your thesis, why it's relevant. And so then I talked to Paul and Andrew, I think, but really Paul, and said, this is what I want to try to do. And so he crafted a partner that would particularly, specifically, I guess is a better word, kind of score the kids' evidence and commentary, which is the middle of a rubric. So there's a 6-point rubric. Evidence and commentary is the biggest chunk of, you can get up to 4 points. And so my kids typed it on demand in Google Docs, and then the next day we uploaded it into Writing Partners, and then we started playing around with it. And it was frustrating for me because I wasn't used to the platform. And I feel like it was frustrating to the kids because they weren't used to the platform, and I felt like I wasn't really super helpful at guiding them. But I think that was part of the learning that was taking place. And so then the writing partner allows you to ask lots of questions, right? And so then, I don't know, guys, what we spent maybe like 2 days specifically with that essay trying to ask questions and trying to craft the right question to glean the responses we were hoping to get or looking to get. So we did that once, and then I asked them to take at least 1 or 2 pieces of advice from the writing partner and make some sort of revision, and then try it again with the revised essay. So I tried to do this at my home school, Oak Park, and which I have a class of 25, I think, and I did do it once. But then my class at CASA is much smaller, and unfortunately, some of your schools maybe teaching, they have these, they interrupt instruction time a lot for mandated testing. So like when I was trying to use this at my home school, we were losing days to testing. We were losing days to like early releases. It was just kind of a hot mess at my home school. So we were allowed, my kids at CASA and I were able to do a lot more work with the specific AP Lang Q1 evidence and commentary writing partner. Paul referenced the college application partner, which these kids are done for me. So I won't see them again until next fall when they come back to school. But my kids at Oak Park, they, for this week, have been working more on the Common App essay than my kids at CASA. And they've been playing around lots with the writing partner, the college essay writing partner. Okay. I asked these guys to do it. And I said to them, I said, why wouldn't you? Like I stress with them that as a dad who has a kid, 2 kids that went to college, I think the college application essay is really important these days because it's more than test scores and GPAs. And it's a way of presenting yourself on a piece of paper to a committee that's going to decide whether this 4.0 student who has activities gets in above that 4.0 student has the same activities. So I really, really hound them about how important I think the college application essay is into getting into school. So, and Paul generously, I think I told the kids, like, he's not pulling the rug out from under us anytime soon with this. So play around with it. Do all you want with it to see what it gets you. And Paul, I don't know how you got those U of M and MSU, how you created those. Like, there's people's names on those. Are those real people, or you just made up names?
They are real people, yeah.
So you knew the real people.
So, yeah. But again, another time I would love to teach your students how to do it and teach you how to do it.
Sure.
It's not so hard, but yes, but we're saying we created simulators so that the students can ask people who sit on committees in the colleges questions about their essay, right? And those simulators are based on podcasts that are on the college sites. You know, these colleges want, you know, so yes, that's how we build it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And we can go in more detail, but you should go to your slides probably, and let's
Okay.
hear from students as much.
Yeah. So I'm going to put it on mute, kids, and I'm just going to let you start talking. Okay. And you tell me when to switch slides.
But thank you for all that context. It's really important.
Of course.
Wait, we're supposed to do the slideshow? Like,
I'm going to manually go through the slides. You are the ones talking, just like when we were at the conference.
oh, okay. So for the first slide, it's just an introduction that we attend CASA and explains what CASA is and writing our futures. So you can go to the next slide. The problem that we studied was to see exactly how AI could benefit students and educational facilities, because it is a rising and growing program that a lot of people don't know how to incorporate into their daily lives, and they're misusing it in a way that could be harmful to everyone involved, including teachers, students, and possibly even college applicants. And we found that the AI would help us with grading our evidence and commentary and suggesting specific improvements that we could use in our essays, specifically catered towards AP Lang, because that's what that's the class that we're in, and that's what we were using it for. And it also offered suggestions on how to build our argument better. If anyone else wants to say something, go ahead.
Yeah, Colton or Denilah, jump in when you're ready.
I think you're ready to the next slide, Mr. Haun. So, I mean, we all pretty much know what Writing Partners is, but like base rundown is it's just an AI tool meant to help a writer creating their essay. It won't create anything for you, but it will give you advice and recommendations on how to adjust and fix what you specifically need to change in your essay and what you requested to give you advice on. So like the methods we used when we were making this is we uploaded our Q1 essays. So if you go on College Board's website, they have a bunch of prompts on past Q1s. So Mr. Haun gave us one of those and we all wrote an essay. We then fed the essay into Writing Partners and we asked it a bunch of questions. For a few days, we just asked dozens, hundreds of questions because we wanted to figure out how it worked and like which questions gave us the best results. Then we took all of our favorite questions, put them on a list. Then we created a pros and cons list of Writing Partners.
We also took, so I did that with both schools, and we actually kind of took my home school, Oak Parks, and the kids kind of vetted. They played around with them and kind of whittled it down to a kind of a usable list that we could share. Because, like I said before, half the frustration was kind of asking the question the right way to get the responses that you were hoping to get.
And by the way, when it feels appropriate, feel free to interrupt and ask more questions of the students. Everybody, go ahead. Yeah.
Some of the vetted questions, we had asked some questions about our essays on Writing Partners. Some of the questions were, what was the worst part about my essay? What can I do to make this essay more persuasive? Give me some examples about how can I improve my essay, such as evidence and commentary, and how can you expand your commentary, and what can you do different in your essay?
I have a question for you. In that last slide, there were a series of questions, but somebody said at some point there's a right way to ask. I think it was Colton said that. Maybe not. But my question is, can you give me an example of a question that you had to do that with? Do you remember changing a question because it wasn't the right way?
No, I didn't have I didn't have to change my questions. I didn't have to
Um,
change the wording or anything.
one of the questions that I asked was like, can you grade my essay out of 6? Because I was thinking about the AP Lang rubric, so I just asked, can you grade it out of 6? And it wasn't giving me exactly the type of answer that I wanted. It was really just kind of summarizing my essay and saying like what I did bad and what I did good, but it didn't give me an exact point like I wanted. So I re-put it in and I put in, can you grade my essay on a scale from 1 to 6 using the AP English language rubric? And that gave me a more exact answer, but I kind of had to do that again because the AI didn't really understand what I was trying to say when I redid it.
Did,
Also, we
I'm
found that,
sorry,
oh no, it's okay.
Autumn. Did you agree with the grade, or did you feel like, boy, this is way off from what I think?
I agreed with the grade because I thought that they didn't really explain in depth why they gave me that grade. They just kind of said like what I did good, but not really what I could improve on. But that's completely fine because I didn't really ask the question of what I could improve on. So I kind of agreed with the grade because they were giving me information. So I was fine with it. And also we found that the more specific that you ask the AI, the more accurate the results they generate is. So we kind of use specificity to really generate better answers.
Thank you.
Colton, you want to take it away?
So the AI, a lot of the questions we asked usually led back to the same 3 or 4 answers, the recommendations really. And it was mainly expand upon your commentary and how it relates to the evidence. If you need more commentary, add more commentary and make sure to elaborate on that. It was really always usually those two. I feel like I asked probably 50 questions throughout my essay, and probably 30 of them came back to these two. And then spend more time connecting your argument directly to your thesis, because like you sometimes when you ramble on around these points, you usually separate from the thesis. So the AI wanted us to constantly come back to these 3 points, and because the AI feels that this is the best way to improve your commentary score. Now, the answers were always descriptive. Like we always got these big paragraphs, but like they weren't always accurate. Sometimes you would ask it one thing, and then you would do that, and when you asked the AI then to look at your paragraph and say what you need to improve upon, it would say not to do that. That wasn't something you should be doing. So the answers were always descriptive, but like they were sometimes iffy.
I have a question for you. So as an AP Lang teacher, there's only so many hours you can give to responding to students' Q1 essays. And so you mentioned there was the same advice, 30 out of the 50 times or whatever. Do you think frequency helps, or is it like teacher says it once, is it better that AI says it 30 times? Did that kind of sink in more, or was it more like my teacher already said this, I get it? Does frequency matter, I guess?
I feel like the frequency does matter. I feel like because I asked these questions so many times, and I was getting pretty much the same answer over and over again, that it really stuck. Because if I ask Mr. Haun a question and he tells me to make sure to link my commentary to my evidence or my commentary to my thesis, yeah, that'll be up there. But when I think about every question I've asked and they all come back to that same answer, I think it sticks a lot more.
Thanks.
I wanted to interrupt and ask, so what do the other young people think about that, based upon how you felt about AI prior to this experience with AI?
I still kind of have like the same sort of point of view about AI. I think that it could be really helpful in the future, but I feel like it's still in the developmental phase, and I feel like it still has a lot of negatives that come with it. But I feel like with more trial and piloting, that it can definitely be something that can be impactful to young people all across the globe. And also, I would like to like kind of add on to the question that Chris asked. I I feel like the frequency that it gave was not very helpful to me like kind of what you said, my teacher has already told me this. And I was looking for a more diverse answers. Like, I don't need to just hear one thing. I want to hear a multitude of different things so I can incorporate all of that into my essay and have a greater chance at scoring a higher score. Like, if I get the same answer repeatedly, it doesn't really help. It doesn't really help me personally, but I can understand how it helps other students.
So there's a couple of people that could give you support writing an essay. One would be a student, another a peer, right? One might be your teacher, and one might be even your parent. And then there's the AI. And if you think back on what you loved about some individual or whatever that gave you help, can you think of someone who had been really helpful and why specifically it was really helpful? I know that's a multiple choice question, sort of.
Yeah. I feel like the AI, when it told me to connect to how is this connecting to the bigger picture? Like, think about the general public and how does this connect to a bigger message? That's what you should incorporate into your essay. I feel like that's a piece of advice that really helped me personally. Like, I was thinking more in a one-dimensional standpoint where I wasn't really thinking, I was thinking about how can I prove this argument, but like, why is this I should be thinking more, why is this argument impactful? And I think that really helped me because I was able to incorporate that into my essays on the actual AP language exam.
Debbie, I'm glad you asked that question because, I think what part of what the kids were talking about is this phenomenon that any of us in the classroom have seen where a kid just chat GPTs an essay like that and it's done, right? And I feel like as a teacher, that was kind of a little bit of my mindset about AI in the English classroom. But now I look at this program and I don't know, I'm sure other programs do it too, but this one's specific and this is the one I've used, that it's exactly what you said. It's like a tutor or a coach, right? I'm not having my kids generate the essay with it. I'm asking them to write an essay, have the computer generate some feedback for them that they could then use to revise. Chris knows that these essays are on demand. So we spend a lot of time writing 40-minute essays that they don't have a chance to go back and revise on the test. And so I said to all of them, and I feel like they kind of, maybe they were, I don't know, fooling me or whatever, but I said, as long as each of you got one nugget that we didn't have before about how to write these essays and how to write your commentary and what's good evidence, then to me, it was well worth it. Well worth the week and a half, 2 weeks that we played around with this, with that one essay that we wrote. So I now look at this as same thing with the college thing. Like, don't let it write yours. And like, I know Paul doesn't want me to talk about, but like I had a kid, I've told my kids, like, if you have a college application essay that makes me cry, it's a really good essay. Like, if I feel what you want me to feel and it comes out of me, and I saw some of the kids, because as the teacher, I can see all the questions they ask, right? And like kids were like, how can I make this paragraph more emotional? Right? They're not changing the story. They're just asking for some advice on how to include some more emotion because of what I told them, and maybe I don't know what I'm talking about, but once again, if I cry, that's a good essay. So, yeah, I feel like I would love to use this. And I think Chris kind of hinted at it too. Like, how long does it take me to read 2 class worth of essays and give them really specific feedback?
Well, if you cry on each one of them, it takes longer.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
anyway.
So anyway, Debbie, I feel like this is like another partner, right? And take the advice or leave the advice, right? Just like I say to them, like, when I read your things and I give you advice, I'm suggesting something, but it's your essay. You want to stick with what you got, you do that. But just know that I've read it and I've given you some advice or some feedback on something different to do or something different to try. So I see this partner that we've been using for the Q1 essay for AP Lang, and now this college application essay as that next level of here's some suggestions that you could do to take something you've already written and make it better.
Peter, I want to hear, Autumn, you put up the flame, and we want to hear why. But I do want to do a quick mention that just early refers to the college admissions essay, but also I would say the AP exam as power essays, in that they are it is writing that students are doing to give themselves power, right? To give themselves either in some way. So it's like these really count on some level, this kind of writing. It's just a quick sidebar Wednesday.
Yeah, I want to like piggyback on that before we find out about why Autumn made flames happen. Sorry, Autumn. I was playing.
Okay,
but I think that what we're hearing from the kids too is naming that you've all named that you were asking all these questions. Mr. Haun wasn't telling you ask these questions. You were figuring out what you wanted to know and like asking it, how can I make this better? What am I doing? That also brings power too, because you're naming what you need. And that also has a lot of impact as well. Now we need to know about the flames. Were you just pressing buttons? Because I do that all the time, Autumn.
Yes, I was looking like at all the options, and I pressed the fire because I want to see what it would do. I do not have it.
I am exactly the same way, so I'm really glad you're here.
That's a good answer.
I wanted to also add on top of what Andrea said is in my classroom when I use it and young people, I tell them that they're prompt engineering. You are engineering the machine to do what you want it to do when you need it to happen based upon your lineup of inquiry. So it's very powerful. You still have the most power when using the tool of AI. And I always tell my students that they are not AI is not the most intelligent. They are. Because if you don't give the tool something to work with, it won't do a thing for you.
Benaya, have you been thinking anything over there? Or I just want to give you a chance to jump in if you wanted to.
Denila's the strong silent type.
Okay, that's fine.
Throw in your 2 cents if you want, Denila. If not, you're cool. Paul, I think I have a couple more slides.
Sure. Okay, yeah, go for it.
And once again, whichever three of you three want to, talk about, go ahead.
Oh, good. There's some actual examples here.
Yeah, these are just student examples of the questions that they asked and the type of results that they got. It's Tessa and Samaria.
Yeah, so I just screenshot a sample from two other students in the class so that you could see what the questions were and what feedback they got. Colton, do you mind talking about the bulleted list and why we did that or what we found?
So in a class discussion, Mr. Haun brought up the idea of asking the AI to respond in bullet points instead of paragraphs to see if the information we were getting, the recommendations it was giving us, would be more efficient and more understandable. So I went into the AI and I asked it pretty much the same question of, can you tell me what I need to improve upon in my evidence and commentary using bullet points? And it gave me a list of 3 bullet points, big headers with all the information you need. And we all found that those were really much more comprehensible than these just thick paragraphs that just cover a little bit of everything. And that also at the bottom of each bullet point, it said you can ask to expand upon that specific bullet point. And when we did that, it would break each bullet point into another set of 2 or 3 bullet points. So we found that asking for bullet points how many times can I say bullet points in one sentence? Bullet points in this made it much more understandable and comprehensible.
Yeah, and I told Paul, when you'd see this feedback, some of it was really long, and I feel like some kids these days, I don't want to talk about these 3, but I feel, Colton, I think you said it, comprehensible. Like reading that whole 8-line paragraph or 9-line paragraph might not be quite as easy as three-line sentences, you know? So that was a nice feature that we figured out or found or so.
And
I was working with grown-ups today, and they're on their AI guidance for their district, and they don't read anything. That's all I'm going to say. We needed a lot of bullet points.
We talk about that all the time with AI. I mean, it's much less there than what it started out giving back, much less. But I like the way you instructed the tool to use bullet points in its responses. So again, young people, it won't do anything unless it can't do anything unless you prompt it correctly. Or
So-
not, and there's no right or wrong way to prompt it, but you have to figure out how to use it to get what it is you want out of it.
So let me say this, and I know I'm going to lose some people when I say this, but I'm going to try to say it. The kind of vetting of questions and collecting questions across two schools and finding out what gets the result you want from the AI, and the AI is going through a script and a rubric that Peter provided. You know, it comes from the AP. And a script that I wrote. And in my script, I did not write, let's just use this example. I did not write, do it in bullet points, right? But you were able to figure out that you could prompt it to do that. Now, at some point, we as a community of educators can absolutely go into the script, our original script, and say, hey, don't give so much right away, just give bullet points. And so instead of like asking the student to write that question, we can put that into our script. So paying it as script writers behind the writing partners, if we pay attention to what students are prompting, the way you had your students do, Peter, we can make our scripts better and better, right? Did that make some sense? I think that's very exciting. Yeah.
And what else is exciting too is how it gets to know what it is you want. Because if you say that over and over again, it will start giving you feedback in that way as well, with after a while without you even prompting it that way.
You know, I wonder what would happen if you had, when you put your essay in, or maybe try this afterwards. If last week I learned that you could ask it for a table, which is basically boxes that go across and, you know, columns that go down. And if you said, I want you to lay out my the arguments in my essay in a table, you know, my argument, my counter argument, and give it the things that you want it to show, and then see what AI says. If I have no idea if it would be helpful or not helpful, but it would be interesting to try.
Let me try to pose that back to the students for a second. If we didn't have time in this project to do prompt engineering, right? To show you how to write scripts, make your own writing partners, author your own writing partners. It takes a little time. It takes a little learning. Do you think that would be? I mean, I guess it's an obvious question, but how do you feel about spending some time, maybe a class, where you would learn that kind of prompt engineering? I'm waiting. Yeah, go ahead.
Is that a thumbs up?
I feel like it could definitely be helpful as a class. I feel like I would be interested in it because it would let me learn a little bit more about the world of AI and like how I can tackle the whole thing. So I feel like it would be helpful if you were to incorporate that.
Colton, have you tried any yourself anywhere?
Nyla looked like she was going to say something.
Oh, okay.
Raising her hand, but then she didn't say anything.
Delilah, jump in. Come on. If you want to.
I didn't have anything to say. I was just in my face. Not bad.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
All right. So
Colton,
anyway,
did you start to say something?
So you're saying like a class to help us understand, like as its own class to help understand how to use these AI things and how to prompt them to get better questions.
or maybe it's a project within a class. I don't know for sure. Yeah.
I feel like as a project, like how we did this would be really beneficial. I feel like a class, like spending a whole year doing this would be a little overboard, but I feel like or a unit within an English class or something I think that would be really great.
So Peter, there you put up another slide. Oh no, is there another slide? I think there is. Yeah, a couple more.
Take it away, kids.
This is our pros and cons list that we ended up coming up with. Go ahead, Denila.
No, okay, I will. I'll start off with the cons first. Some of the cons were like, if you ask them to grade your essay on a scale of 1 through 6, they'll give you like so many options if you keep repeating the say. For example, they graded mine a 2 at first, and then I kind of agree with it. But then I wanted to ask again to see if they would, give me a different reason why that I got a 2. But then they told me I got a 3, 1, I got this and that. And it just made me confused. A pro is that it does give you some suggestions, and it gives a quick response. It gives helpful tips, and the feedback was great. Like it was, you can actually use it, and you actually think and all of that. And you can use those feedback in different essays, not just AP, not just Lang or yeah.
The AI is not always accurate when it does grading, right?
Yes.
And there are some there, including myself. Ms. Bentham, Dr. Bentham, and I did some of this work, and we decided not to use any numbers in the grading, and just give me feedback, right? How do you feel about that? Do you think that would have? Do the numbers confuse, or did they help?
I mean, they help, but
I mean, you
confuse
just
at the
gave
same
an example, but okay.
Yeah.
And
I
I
think
have to say, because I used it for grading and I set up my own rubric in there, almost like you're explaining about AP language, it took several attempts to get what I knew was right about my students' work. It wasn't easy to get it to perform in a way that was agreeable. However, I'm really glad to hear that you all are reading the feedback, because what I found is my students weren't reading the feedback at all. They were just looking for the final number. So I had to do a lesson on read the feedback and then respond to the feedback. So that was very interesting, because all of us, and I have to include myself, oftentimes I want something really quick. And I'm not looking to go into the weeds with everything that I read.
Paul, I think that was a frustration for many of my students, the grading part of it. And I don't know if there's a way to fix that. But
yeah, there absolutely is. You can just say, don't give a grade, just give feedback. Yeah.
Well, and that's what I would say. Like if I were to do this again, I would say that it's not going to give you a grade. It's going to give you feedback about your evidence and commentary. But I think, is it Dr. Ben? I can't see your last name. Yeah. Bonnie. I think
Dr. Triple B will work.
Triple B. All right. What she stated, I think, is accurate. The kids just want the number real fast, And it's interesting because 2 of my kids that aren't on this call, they were always hounding me for more feedback on their papers. And once again, I can't possibly generate the amount that this thing is doing for these kids within seconds, I mean, it took them like 3 seconds to get their feedback on any given question that they asked, maybe less than that. So I feel like the grading thing, maybe we wouldn't even touch that. We would just talk about how it's feedback.
Can we say a little more about? I'm a little worried. I mean, I totally hear what you're saying. There's no way you can give that much feedback, but it's not about efficiency, right? It's not about it. It's about it's about you can get quicker feedback, therefore you can do more work. Yeah, I mean, you can do more writing. You can advance faster. Is that? I don't know why I want to pick on it a little bit.
So my rule is no kid can do another essay until I've graded all the essays. And I'm a very slow grader when it comes to essays. So, and once again, these are on-demand essays.
Say that rule again. Nobody can do another essay until
I don't give kids essays until they get their previous essays back. And maybe everyone believes that. And maybe everyone can grade essays in a week or two. I don't know. We do a lot of essay writing in class because it's on demand and I want them to feel authentic on-demand writing.
Okay.
So, oh, I forgot where I was going with this.
I like that rule.
Yeah, me too.
So
yeah, but however, what I've just proposed there is that if the AI can give them the feedback, they can go to do another draft before they even turn it into the teacher. And I'm just wondering how you feel about that, given your rule.
I guess, and once again, Chris is on here and he's an AP Lang teacher. We don't do a lot of revision essays. The next essay is the revision. What did you learn from this one that you will do now in the next one? Not go back and make this one you've already written better. Write another one better this time.
Huh. That's actually good because it simulates the idea that there's no, it's not that you're going to get the same information, the same content back again. It's giving you practice with totally reinventing it and applying it. So
that is my hope. It's very humbling for some of these kids that are 4.0 and their first essay is absolutely horrible. And their next one is better. And the next one after that is better. And it just keeps growing. So, and I guess that's my teaching philosophy. And some people would disagree with me, but.
Well, for on-demand essays, it's probably the best kind of application, right?
So, but maybe the tutor should recognize that instead of saying, "Hey, this is how you could revise this." It should say, "In your next essay, consider." Instead. Yeah.
And I guess I didn't ask them to ask the questions in that direction. I guess I was saying, ask what it thinks here and think about that going forward. You know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe there's a step where it's giving feedback on the particular essay I've just written on whatever the prompt was. And then there's like a second step where we make a plan for the next on demand. So like now that we've gotten all this feedback on this particular piece of writing, what might my plan look like as a writer going into my next prompt?
See, one of the problems with feedback is you can get feedback, but if you don't really understand it or you don't, it doesn't make sense to you, you can't apply it. So just trying to apply it to a new essay without really understanding if you really understand what it said is actually asking a big cognitive load, right? So I can see that. I can see both sides of that. Maybe the student might say, I think what you're saying is blah, 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 blah. And if the AI then says, well, what I meant was blah, 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 blah. Maybe there's an interchange there, about, do I really understand the feedback I'm getting? Because I've certainly got, in my lifetime, I've misunderstood lots of feedback.
Well, I think there's lots of research that shows that students often don't know what to do with feedback. So, yeah.
Unless it's really specific and clear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Paul, it's 9. I told my kids.
I know, we should stop. I agree. I want to give students last thoughts. Anybody want to say anything? Thank you for coming on. And we want to release you.
Just thank you. This was excellent. Really appreciate it.
Yes, very much. Thank you.
Peter,
Thanks,
thanks.
guys.
Thanks for dragging your students into this, and
Thanks, everyone.
appreciate
Really
all
good,
the
really good stuff. Thank you
They
so
know I
much.
appreciate it. And I told them they don't want to hear from me. They want to hear from you. So I'm just, I mean, I haven't seen them in a week because we finished last week. So I told them I'll be texting you to remind you that you have to meet with me after school. So
I appreciate they made it here.
Good job
Great
remembering.
going, young people. Great going. Yeah.
for sure. Love you, kids. See you in the fall.
Okay.
Have a great
Okay,
summer.
bye-bye. Thanks so
Have a
much.
good
for stuff.
summer.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Mr. Haun.
Bye, guys.
All right. Thank you all.
All right. We can
And
go.
we'll be back after the first week of June.
Have
Oh,
fun.
right. So next week is
Yeah.
no TTT next week.
Yeah, we're going to take a break. Yep.
Yeah. Happy wedding.
Enjoy.
Yes. Julie.
And you guys have fun in New Orleans. I wish I could have joined you all for some.
Yes.
This is why I couldn't. But
Bonnie, I'm so excited
yeah.
you're coming.
I know.
Oh,
I
that's cool.
saw your name. I said, "Okay, Tram."
So we have to figure out a place to go eat.
Yes,
So
we will figure out. I've already been doing the research. Yes,
I figured you were. So I'm like, oh, Bonnie probably has some good ideas. Okay, cool.
All right. Talk to y'all soon.
okay. Take care, everybody.